The Sound Lab, 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 the Sound Lab. Experimenting with the best new music.
The Amazons.
Hi.
How's things?
It's good. I think this might be my last interview.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the dressing room,
Yep.
draw the curtains and just lie in the dark.
Sleep.
Just lay down and just like sign myself up for the show,
Yeah.
which is 5. So we've got we actually haven't got that long.
Not that long.
So yeah.
Better do some warm-ups.
Yeah, I've got a bit of a scratchy throat, so but we've got a fairly short set, so I think we'll be okay.
Yeah. Doing all the classics Amazons tunes.
Are they classics?
I'm calling them a classic.
Or just the ones that are like 3 years old? Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be doing them. We'll be doing all the hits. If you've heard of the Amazons, you'll probably have heard the songs.
Good. No newbies in there?
You know what? It's like a 50-50 kind of ratio between old and new.
Yeah.
In terms of, I mean, we just put out a new album, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
out there for the world to see. So we're very much in that kind of world at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like 50-50 really. If you like the new album, you hopefully won't be disappointed.
Yeah. New record. Tell us about the record.
It's called Future Dust. It was released in May this year. We spent most of 2018 making it. We kind of fell out of groove of like writing and stuff when we just finished the touring of like 2018 and stuff, and we kind of tackled that by holing up in this little house in Wales called Treetops, which was in a area called Three Cliffs Bay, about an hour outside of Swansea, and yeah, and a lot of the album was kind of informed by that trip and the music that we were listening to on that trip, which was very much kind of more blues based and kind of more rootsy, kind of early rock and roll.
Yep.
And we just wanted to capture the spirit of it. It wasn't really about like getting the boogie woogie piano out or anything like that. It was just like we were really discovering some really raw and colourful characters, and we wanted to just see what we could do and be inspired by that. And yeah, and then we recorded it with Catherine Marks, who recorded the first album with us, and we did that in Wales as well. Wales and we shot a video for Doubt It in Wales.
Yeah.
And then I actually did a walking holiday 2 summers ago in the Brecon Beacons. I
Nice
love
place.
Wales. I love Wales.
Yeah.
It's great. It's
is
got
nice.
a real deep, mysterious past
Yeah.
in terms of like spirituality and like in terms of like mythology. They've got a real strong kind of set of myths.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's just a magic to the place if you want to see it. And there was this singer called, there's this band called Estrons
Yeah.
from Swansea, and the lead singer Tali, she told me about this book called The Mabinogion, and it's just like a collection of like medieval Welsh tales, and it's like the basis of like mythology, and it's like 11th century or something.
Yeah.
And it just opened my eyes, just a new way to look at Wales, man. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's a dark and mysterious place.
Yeah.
And we wanted a bit of that energy when we wrote and recorded the album. So yeah.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah.
And the most recent single, 25,
Yeah.
is out at the moment.
Yes, it is.
Being played quite in a lot of places actually, which is doing quite well. So
Yeah.
tell us about the single.
25. That was written quite later on. I wanted a real like snapshot in time song lyrically for the record. I didn't see it in there, and it was a couple of weeks before I was 25, and I had just this kind of phrase, not yet 25, and then I would like do all these kind of rhyming couplets that were informed by that, and it was this kind of dark, folky, kind of Dylan-esque kind of tune. And I took it to the lads, and I was like, I'm not sure this is really for us, because it was one of those ones where it doesn't have like a riff, and
Yeah.
sometimes you feel pressure to like live up to like, all right, it's an Amazon song, let's get a riff in there, but it didn't have that.
Keep the guitarist happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And but the boys just knew what to do. It just came together as quickly as there are minutes in the song. It's
Yeah,
like it was a really instinctive process, and a lot of songs that we do are very considered, especially on this new album. And actually, sometimes the best music you come up with is just pure instinct.
Yeah.
And that's what that song is, and that's what it still feels like now. That's great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So what's the plan for the rest of the year? Are we heading back out on the road?
Yeah, I mean, someone asked me if the touring was done yet for the album. I said, mate, we haven't even started. We've just kind of released the album in May, and we've been doing festivals since. We did some shows with Muse in Europe, which were amazing, and we're really going to kick into touring from next 2 weeks' time, beginning of September. We're doing a run in Australia, and then we're off to the States for a little bit, and we're doing New York and Austin City Limits, and then we go to do a European tour, starting in Paris, ending in Bologna, and then off to States again for a bit, and then back out to the UK for more touring, and then we'll have a break over December, where I expect we're going to record some new music, and then we'll be back out to the States again.
Busy.
A little bit.
Busy.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
You haven't got time to think, have you?
No, thank God for that.
Go.
No, yeah, I don't want time to think. I think artists are rubbish when they're not busy. The worst thing you can do to me is just send me home.
Yeah.
I think that, we're from Reading, for God's sake. Like, the whole idea of the band was to escape. and that's what it's all about. It's like, let's see how far we can get before we have to go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the motto.
And what's 2020 going to hold? Are you going to be potentially releasing more music next year, or is it just going to be a touring year, maybe?
Yeah, we've got music to go. We're going to try some different stuff. Been writing with other artists. Been writing with Teresa from Yonica.
Yep.
She just knows her way around melody. She knows how to write a hook, and I really like that about her. And she's got a really nice angle when it comes to lyrics, and I think she's a lot more tuned to like where music is, and they're a lot more open to like more modern production techniques and stuff. So I like being around her. And then I think, I find it, I think I want to collaborate with more artists. I'm not hugely interested in writing with like the writers that like all these singers write with. They all write with the same dudes, and that's okay. And they're all like immensely talented and stuff, and they all make lots of money. But no, I find artists a lot more interesting. I've been touring, kind of run into Jade Bird a couple of times over the summer, and that's an artist that we absolutely love, because she writes such fresh and exciting songs, but she's so clearly informed by her knowledge of the roots of where all of this comes from. And I think we're really, especially with this record and our own like musical journeys, we're so much more attuned, and kind of I find that just like really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe, I don't know, I'll call her one day.
Yeah. Do you think you might get them on to feature on the track alongside yourselves?
Sure, I don't know about features. Just write together and see what happens. I don't know. I saw that Dylan film the other day, the Rolling Thunder Review.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I haven't. No.
It's on Netflix. It's Scorsese, and it was cool, man. There was a real commonality. What I took from it was this commonality that they had. It's like 1975. Put together a tour of just like-minded people, and we had Allen Ginsberg doing beat poetry at the beginning, and then he had they got to Connecticut, and Joni Mitchell went to a show, and he said, "Oh, do you want to come? And do you want to jump on the tour?" And they made room, and then she was on the tour for the rest of the tour. And it's like that kind of freeness and the commonality in that. Right, we're a Reading Festival. One of the things you're probably not going to see in dressing rooms backstage are instruments. And when you watch this film, it just shows how completely different everyone's mindset was.
Yeah.
It's almost like if we were in backstage, if I go backstage now to my dressing room, pick out a guitar, there's probably going to be more eye rolls than anything else.
Yeah.
It's like, we're fucking musicians. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
I don't know what the question was, but I would love to I don't know, adopt that kind of spirit a little bit more. And it's just this kind of, it's just a commonality. I guess everyone back in 75, rock and roll's about 20 years old at this point, 2 decades old. And everyone's reference points, starting off points are probably quite similar. They'll probably listen to Elvis first.
Yeah.
Or Jerry Lee Lewis, or even the bluesy stuff. We don't have that anymore. We've had 60 years of rock and roll, and everyone's looking at it completely differently. Our rock and roll is completely different to A Day to Remember or Bring Me the Horizons rock and roll, and it's very different to, I don't know, the Wombats rock and roll. But it doesn't mean they're not great. Or Yonica or Billie Eilish. I know everyone's talking about her being a rock star.
Now of what was originally rock and roll.
Yeah, I think the 80s have a lot to answer for. A lot of crimes to answer for. No, but I think rock and roll definitely splintered into a lot of the subgenres during that. Yeah. Because like, how different do you want to be from like the Smiths on one hand and like Whitesnake on the other, or like Bon Jovi and Joy Division or New Order or whatever. And I think that's probably very similar now. That's probably informed it from now. And that really all kicked off like mid-late 70s with punk. That was one of the big first sub-genre, subgroups, counterculture kind of vibes that came out of rock and roll. I guess you got the hippies. I guess you got the modern rockers as well. But in terms of how people play music today, I don't think punk is rivaled in that it was like that kind of not being able to play your instrument very well was like a great thing. And it dumbed it down, and there are some great punk acts like the Clash or the Buzzcocks or Stiff Little Fingers or the Sex Pistols, I guess. But in terms of, I don't know if I think punk rock has put rock and roll in an amazing place in 2019, because you get to a point where Jimmy Page and Eric Clapton were listening to like Howlin' Wolf and Muddy Waters and, I don't know, Albert King as their guitar influences. And with all due respect, I was into loads of pop punk bands and I got along really nicely just learning 3 chords. And then you get to a point a little bit later on when you're like an actual like musician and you're like, actually, I could be a lot better with the time that I've spent my guitar. And when you're technically better, it's not about like doing scales all the time, but when you're technically better at your instrument, it creatively opens more doors for you as you go on. Yeah. Like Jimmy Page or whatever with the Led Zeppelin, he mastered so many different styles: hard rock, blues, like real like folk guitaring and stuff. And it makes it all fresh and so many different dimensions. You get so many different dimensions from one player. Yeah. And I don't think you can find those kind of what's up? I don't think you can find those kind of guitar players around anymore. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, a pleasure.
Having a catch up with you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
The Sound Lab. 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 Experimenting with the best new music.